Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Bow Hunter Chronicles podcast. We got John. Uh, he's here getting ready to go to the UP. So he's like, hurry up, knock it off with this technical difficulty type stuff. But we are on Zoom. So this will be a video podcast on our Facebook as well. We've got Sean Ferguson, and then we've also got his right hand man, Nick, on here to talk a little bit about their products. And, we have been we haven't been criticized so much, but people like to give us a ribbing, especially some of our Patreons and stuff like that, about being saddle heavy. So it's the buzz. It's what people are talking about. It's new to us. It's fun. I mean, we're in year 2 here with saddle hunting, so we are definitely going to talk saddle hunting and some of that stuff. But I've got to talk to Sean a little bit about this, and it's kind of how this second podcast with Trophyline stemmed. Was if you're familiar with any of the Trophyline ads or their pub on Facebook and Instagram, their media, you're going to see the mossy oak. You're going to see all these really nicely done, and you're going to see this dude hanging from a tree in Trophyline saddle with this bow that's longer than he is, and you're like, oh, he's a trad guy, right? And so not long ago, maybe less than a month ago, here he is with the, as John calls it, the erector set bow. He's got a gearhead, and I was like, what in the world? What a stark contrast from and I've talked with Sean about traditional archery and trying to get a recurve set up and long bows and all sorts of stuff. So Sean, what's going on with that?
Hey, first of all, thanks guys. Thanks Adam and John. Appreciate this. Good to be back. I think it was, I don't know, maybe a year ago when Gary and I was on. So yeah, that's year goes fast anymore. Just blink. So first of all, I've always been a compound guy and trad guy. It was, be honest with you, I used to shoot, I'm talking in high school days and into college, I was shooting kind of the IBO circuit in the summertime and shooting, all the way across the country and back. And be honest with you, that was compound. And I just honestly did it for so long, I kind of got smoked on it, just kind of wore out. And there was a bunch of us doing it together, a whole crew of us. And one guy's like, let's pick up trad bows. One of our friends was into it. So we started goofing around, shooting trad bows, and we all got pretty good at it. So we actually ended up shooting like the trad category in the IBO circuit for a while. And so we did that for a long time. And then I got tired of, slower arrows. So I ended up pulling the compound back out and ended up shooting compound no sights. It was always something, trying something different. And then for years, I was on with compounds for a few years, and I go back to the trad bow, just mixing it up. Just always wanted something different challenge. And so I've been shooting the trad bow for a couple of years now, and a couple of our ambassadors were tossing around this gearhead idea, and I was like, it's kind of different looking. It's like totally different looking. I was like, maybe if I can try one out, we'll see. So I ended up shooting one at ATA, and I'll be honest with you, it shot way better than I thought it would, and almost like it shouldn't shoot this good, for how small it is. And so I talked to him for a little while and ended up picking up one, and kind of monkeying around with it again. I'm always shooting my trad bow in the background and here and there, but I was like, we'll try this for this year. It's definitely from a saddle perspective. It can't, talk about compact and mobility side of it, it's, you can pretty much put it in your backpack and rock and roll. So, but yeah, it's been fun. It's, like I said, it does shoot lights out, you got to get used to that harsh angle, but.
I was gonna say, what model did you end up with?
So I have, what is it called? A Devastator. Let me pull up the exact model. It's not the real short one.
Dissipator, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I want to make sure I get this name right. So, and especially since I've been shooting it all year here.
Yeah, I did kind of the same thing as I wanted to shoot him at ATA. We saw him, and then at the show in Grand Rapids, I sat and talked with Skip for
Yeah.
a long
Disruptor.
time.
The Disruptor. Yep.
Yeah.
I shoot the 24.
Okay. And I was trying to get, because kind of like the same thing that you said, I was considering shooting one, and I just couldn't get my hands on one, and I didn't want to spend the money, and then like we talked about in before this a little bit and just drop it off to John and say, hey, set this up for me, and him be like, what the hell is this thing? And, so I wanted to like have John shoot one, kind of get him familiar with it.
Yeah, 24 inches axle to axle. That's it's a little. That's really steep angle for me at 31 inch draw leg. So
yeah,
not that I don't even know what did they go out to on that 30?
They do make up to 30. Yeah. Yep.
So that string angle's got to be like just.
Oh yeah,
tight.
it definitely is. But I'll be honest with you, I haven't had any issues whatsoever. Like I said, it shoots really good for me.
You shoot a peep in it?
I do.
That's got to be all the way up by the cam almost, isn't it?
It's pretty high. I was gonna say I don't have it right here. I usually do, but yeah, it is definitely pretty high. It's I can't imagine the shorter one because it even goes short. There's like a 20.
There's an 18.
Yeah, I saw there's an 18. That's wild.
Yeah. So yeah, going from trad to that to totally ends of the spectrum, right? But that said, I just ordered a new zipper recurve from Tom over there, so I'm itching to get that, but I won't get that until like July or August. So,
okay.
But
like I said, just it was like nearly the same picture.
I know you texted me like what
in the world? This is going forward in time 100 years. So like I said, I just wanted to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I just wanted to mix it up, something different. I've always kind of most of the time I've shot Hoyt over my entire life. Shot a couple Bowtech here and there, an Elite, Moss, a Matthews, but usually just kind of onesies and twosies there. But most of the time it's all been Hoyt. So hence that I think most of the recurves I've been shooting have been Hoyts too. I got a couple custom made stuff though. Okay.
So now for all you guys that are sick of the saddle stuff, you can change it or do whatever. But so yeah, we talked last year right before Thanksgiving, and you guys had your kind of resurgence right around that time. You had.
Yeah, October 8th, we started last year, 2019.
Yeah. So like I said, I've got it written down on my notes here. Trophyline year 1, version 2. Right. So how has this last year been for you?
Nick, what do you say? Drinking from a fire hose?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's definitely been a wild ride. We've been excited and happy, kind of a roller coaster, especially kind of the year we're having, in general. And probably enhanced that a good bit since we are direct to consumer. But yeah, it has been literally crazy, and I'm not joking, since the day we launched on October 8th to today where we're sitting, we've hit many goal numbers way quicker than I thought we would. And from units to dollars, you name it. And but and we've never deviated from what we said we were going to do though, which helps, so we've always preached that, we're not gonna make it go live until we got it in our warehouse ready to go, and that's paid off dividends, and but there's risk with that. We got to pony up and go buy that product, and I always say you hope your crystal ball is not a snow globe the day you're making your forecast, and this year it's definitely been a challenge because we never lived through we launched last year, October 8th. We were in the middle of hunting season when we launched our company. And last year was great, but we never lived through that pre-hunting season before, when outdoorsmen are getting ready for the hunting season, looking at new product, buying new product, testing new product, and that ramp up. I had a good idea. I've been, as a buyer for many, many years and been in the outdoor industry for a long time. And so I had a good idea what that ramp up was, but, it's different when you own your own company and, now you're pulling the strings and writing the checks, right? and hoping that you bought enough or hope you didn't buy too much and you're going to be sitting on a bunch of stuff. And we work with great partners too. We, anything from the Novix guys to the people that I've been building with for years, whether it's our accessories or our saddles, even our rope guys that we have over in Ohio, they have all literally just, jumped through hoops, when we got low on inventory. And, there wasn't many days that we were out of inventory, probably outside of the Mission platform. That thing that skyrocketed, pretty quickly. And we literally sold our yearly forecast. Well, not I say yearly, it was pretty much August through December forecast in 5 weeks, but it took 5 weeks because my manufacturer was flowing them to me. And, as fast as they were coming in, they were going out, and we're just putting shipping labels on them, turn them back on live, and they get bought up and back out the door. And so we've been very thankful with the partners we've have agreements with and been working with for years. And then the company's growing. We had Nick here who's on the team, and we've had a couple other people, and we're actually adding some more people next month. Actually, in a couple weeks, I think we're adding 2 more people in January to the team, and we got a couple more people slated in 2021. We moved warehouses. We went from Ohio in a little shoebox we were running out of the office itself, and some shipping pods, and to full-fledged 3PL out of Pittsburgh area. Actually, I live in Pittsburgh, so I'm not far from there. Actually, a good friend of mine owns the 3PL. Believe it or not, we actually share our warehouse with a Pittsburgh Steelers, so it's pretty cool. So lots of activities going on in the warehouse. Ask Nick. He and I are there every day or every other day, and it's been nuts the last 2 months in that facility.
So how is this? Obviously, the pandemic. How do you think that's affected? I mean, did you guys have supply issues from that at all?
Yeah, I'll be honest with you. No. We really didn't, and I think for a couple of reasons. One was when it was early on, we really went ahead and hoped they would come. So we went and bought a lot of product and built a lot of products. And the good thing is we were able to flow it when we needed it, and not just bring it all in at one time. There were some challenges when we were getting low and needed it, but like I said, some of our manufacturers literally jumped through hoops for us and moved us to in front of the line, or squeezed us in somewhere to make this or make that, and then air freighting some stuff in and expediting this, and from a margin perspective, it took a big hit there. But at the end of the day, we were there to get the sales and make customers happy. And we did everything we possibly can this year. I don't know if we really missed a whole lot of sales outside of, probably some stuff on the missions. If we had those continuously, backpacks we ran out at times, but we got those back in not too long. Knee pads kind of come and went. But again, we weren't out of inventory for very long, just short periods of time at most. And saddles, Nick, I don't know if we were ever really out of saddles. We were kind of the kings of just in time this year. we were, we couldn't plan like we did this year. Like, we literally, from the time we started to see inventory going quick, we were like, got on the horn with our manufacturer saying, hey, I need X number. And literally, as we're getting down to, single digit units, it's literally showing up at the warehouse. It was, some things are just very strange that happened this year in a good way. And the pandemic throws, I don't quite know what type of wrench it throws into it this year. It's it could be, the way I look at it, it could be that almost perfect storm to some degree, because you look at it and say, okay, there's a lot of people that lost their jobs, right? And still do not have them. That said, our consumer, if they're going to lose their job, they actually kind of like losing it in the fall time, right? They go hunting more often, and that said, I think and then the government puts some money out there to the public, and so we actually saw a little spike in sales, which I think everybody did time that money came out, and so you saw, I think, license sales this year. So I was reading a report, 2020 license sales increased the first time in, like, I think we're back to 2016 numbers. So we've been declining for years until 2020, and you look at that report, the increases in younger hunters and women. And that goes for hunters and fishing licenses. And so there's kind of a movement on a couple fronts. One, you had people out of work, or if they did work, they were, working from their house. So they might be able to sneak out a little more than they did, if they were in an office job. So you had more people in the field. And then the flip side of that is, especially early on in the pandemic, you went grocery shopping, and you all of a sudden there's a sign there saying limited to one person, right? One pack of meat for each person. And you're kind of looking at yourself, really? So I know for a fact, because I've talked to customers myself, Nick has talked to customers themselves, that, this is the first year they ever got into hunting. They had friends that hunted, never really thought about it, or maybe thought about it, never tried it. And comes pandemic, all of a sudden it's a little hard to get meat or whatever. And they're like, you know what, I'm going to try it. And so you have, all of a sudden now you have this younger, maybe millennial hunter, for, almost kind of calling it, someone new to it, which is great. I mean, we need it. We've been declining for years, and every single organization has been trying to figure out, how do we get younger hunters into it, when we're competing against, the phone and Xbox and, full-time sports and everything else. And who would have thought that a pandemic would increase the hunting license this year. And so that's kind of why I say it's kind of a little bit of a perfect storm this year. Next year's gonna be interesting. We'll see. Who knows how long this thing's gonna last, and we're gonna be.
Yeah, that was like, you actually answered my question. That was the next part of my question. Was like, here in Michigan, our sales or tag sales were up 11%, and it was a 20-year decline up until this year.
Yeah.
So like you're saying, like, I think one of the big things is like kids not being in sports. Like, like I know my son plays travel baseball, and I know like my other buddy's kid plays travel hockey. So when it comes to fall, I mean, those parents are out.
Oh yeah.
To chasing the kids around. Even like when I went out to Montana, we ran into more hunters out there And I ran into local guys, and local guys were like, I've never, ever seen it like this. And it's like, yeah, I'm one of the guys coming out here, but,
right.
but I had already planned on it.
Right. Yeah, totally, man. I totally get it. I coach ice hockey, and man, half our season's been, either we were on quarantine or pushed or canceled, and right now we're canceled till next year. And so I totally get it. So I've been able to hunt more often on the weekends than I have in the past, and so absolutely, I can see that side of it.
Yeah, I remember I dealt with that on the other end. My dad, my little brother played travel hockey. I played in league or just house league hockey.
Yeah.
And so when I turned 14, I was pretty much hunting on my own because my dad was out of town every weekend with my brother for travel hockey. So
I used to do that with my older son. He's first year college this year, and now I have my younger son, so coach U14, and we're actually up in Michigan quite often with my older son's team. We're actually just looking this past weekend. This past weekend, 6 years ago, we won a big tournament up your way. So it come across Facebook. So I was like, man, time goes fast. So
kind of piggybacking off of our last podcast, for like, the Trophyline, you guys are built on beating the shows and everything like that. And so now heading into this year, there's no shows. Everything has been canceled. How has that caused you guys to pivot, I guess, in projections, or did you go into, this, thinking that anyways, that there was going to be nothing?
Yeah. Be honest with you, I don't. So being direct to consumer again, going into 2021, we weren't really overly concerned from a consumer show or an ATA or a SHOT Show from that standpoint. We don't launch new product until we're ready for it, right? And that said, we usually don't. I always use the term "lift up our skirt," and show off what we have until a couple weeks out. And I'd like to try to control as much as possible, right? And so I've never been one to say, hey, May 1st, this item is coming, and we only give out usually dates when, we're 100% locked and loaded. Product is like on its way, ready to land on our warehouse. And we've kind of stuck to our guns from that standpoint of, under promising and kind of over deliver. And that's no different whether there's shows or not shows. It will be interesting this year when it comes to new product in the market, right? And especially at the storefront level, because a lot of people go to those shows to purchase their new products, right? And ATA is a great show for that. SHOT Show, not so last, but the dealer shows like Sports Inc. and NBS, that's where a lot of people write 90% of their business, and then the flip side of it is you got reps on the road and they bring you a new product and you kind of fill in from there, or you might see a new product here and there. This fall will be very interesting. What new product in the pipeline. I kind of got my ear to the ground in the industry a little bit, and I hear some companies basically almost rebirthing what they had this year, maybe putting a small twist to it and not sticking their neck out too far, right? And for 2021 on new products, and then I got I know the other companies are going the other extreme, pushing the gas pedal down and really going after it. So, so it will be interesting. I don't think anybody has the answers, because I think one is, we just don't know. We don't know how long this is going to last. Right. Here we are sitting, 9 days from Christmas, and it still feels like there's no end in sight on the pandemic side and lockdown side. But I know, like, in my head and Nick's head, it's like, man, I can't wait till January, because that's flips the switch and it's a new year and we're going regardless, and they kind of never look back and go. So we won't deviate from, being ready to go when we bring out a new product. We may communicate a little earlier what we're coming out with in the future. And just to, let people have an idea, think about it, think about the process now. You have an ATA or a SHOT Show. You got buyers that, some of the big buyers saw new product in October, right? And they looked at the product, made their buys, then they go to the archery show, and some people saw the new product for the first time. That new product doesn't hit until July, right? Time frame. Mm-hmm. So there's some kind of build up, like, oh, I'm excited to see that product come out, or I want to go test that product or buy that product when it does come out, but you got to wait 6 months. And so we've never been in that thought process, but I think we'll show people, sooner than we have in the past, though, just to do it. It's especially in the off season, right? You got from as soon as your hunting season ends, I know some seasons end, the end of December, but others don't end till middle of February. After that, we're looking forward to spring turkey season, right? But that downtime, it's like people are looking for new items, what's coming out, that type of stuff.
Well, I think, we talked about it a little bit before with like saddles being direct to consumer. And so, now I guess with Hawk throwing their, I haven't had my hands on one, and I've seen just about every other saddle, but I've got my own opinions of what I think that one's going to be. And I don't really want to spend my money on it to not like it, or, I feel like I'd be throwing my money away. But, at these shows, like, not like the ATA shows so much as like, the Great American Show or whatever, the big one, or like, so John and I, we worked the show. We actually were demoing saddles at the Tethered booth in Detroit. Yeah. And we live in an echo chamber. So we think that everybody knows what a saddle is. And these guys are walking up to John saying, telling their kid, like, straight away, like, that's how you hang your stand, or that's how you climb the tree. Oh, yeah. And then when you say, no, that's not it, then you almost got to pry them into it. And then you got to pry them out of it, So they're like, it's such a crazy thing. And so for like guys that can't test out a saddle, I mean, there's, like, again, we're in an echo chamber. We only talk about, saddle hunting, mobile hunting, all the different things. Did you see this? Did you see this? And we forget that there's, however many million hunters, whatever the market is, that have never even seen one of these things. I mean, John, what was your experiences like at the show?
When the guys were coming up to us, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh, I had guys like asking, he's like, well, is that like the climbing harness as you're going up the tree? I'm like,
right.
Well, part of it, but when you get up to the top, you just hang in this. You don't need it.
Yeah.
You just use the steps or a platform, but there was tons of people.
Yeah, you guys are 100%. We I always say around here, like, we're always too close to this thing, right? Yeah, you got, if you think it's simple, you need to step back and look at it and think about it from a perspective of someone seeing it for the first time. And you guys witnessed that, right? Mm. And so that's definitely going to be a huge challenge this year, right? Because the NRA show was a great example, right? In Harrisburg, 250,000 people going through that in 11 days. Well, all those people all of a sudden aren't going to just not spend money, right? They're actually itching to go see something, touch something, buy something. And so it'll be interesting to see where it all falls out when it does open back up. And I'm itching to get to the consumer shows. We had lots of plans to be at, many of them this year, and especially kind of rolling into our third year, but realistically, less than 24 months. But yeah, that was, Nick and I talk about it all the time. Like, as soon as this thing opens up, the goal is to be, be where we can be, because, you look at the size of the market, and I have a good idea, volume perspective, what total volume we're all doing. I have a pretty good finger on the pulse there. And you add it all up, we're a rounding error just compared to the amount of bow hunters, out there. And don't even take into effect the, 13 million hunters that are in the space. I'm just talking about the 4.3 million bow hunters. We're rounding error who's actually touching the saddle. So, but that's a great, great thing for all of us, though. To be honest with you, I don't think there's more consumers coming into this market than there is product and manufacturers right now. Hence the reason why, you go on a lot of websites and you can't get product for 4 weeks, 6 weeks, and people can't keep up. And so it's saddles hunting is going to be here to stay. To what degree, who knows? Like I always tell people, it's not an end all. You might get to that point. You might say, hey, I love doing this. This is the only way I'm going to hunt. Great. More power to you. At the end of the day, I look at it as it's just another tool in your toolbox. Right. And because, guys thinking about getting into it are sitting, looking across at their shed at the end of the season. You got all these tree stands stacked up going, why do I need to spend $600, $700, $800 on this new way to hunt? And, these consumer shows are great then to go, hey, look how mobile this is, right? You don't need to own a truck to carry your tree stands around. You don't need to live in a house or, a farm or whatever to store all your tree stands. This is all you need, right? Then it doesn't matter if you do have all this stuff. Look how much more mobile you can be if you want to go try new property out, public land hunting, a new part of your farm. So I look at it as just another tool. It's but also to that effect, though, is once you become familiar with it and use it and have trust in it. And I always tell people you could have trust in your tether. Once you put trust in your tether, you really get the full capacity, what the saddle you're capable of using that saddle for. Right. And so, again, you might come to the conclusion like, hey, this is the only way I'm going to hunt again. But the flip side of it is, tree saddle is a great way to hang-ons, right? You get to the top of your stick, tie off, and now you can buzz all the way around the tree and put your hang-on wherever you want. So,
yeah, I did that this year. I was demonstrating for my cousin's husband, and he wanted to try some out, and he's actually he's in one of the Trophyline lights. I've got it was funny when you were saying like you got a shed full of this. I got a bin full of saddles. Like I literally do, and it's nice for us because you get to go and show people, like this. But I did that, and while I was hanging the stand, and he's of the the old timey climb up there on the 2x4, and like it's so dangerous, and I'm using both my hands and everything, and like that may have sold him right there. But I mean, right now you're looking at a guy with John. Like if you need somebody for your saddle sales team at any of these shows, I mean, if he's got an open weekend, he might not seem like this chatty Cathy right now, but when you get John talking about something that he's passionate about, and he is that exact like full 100% circle, because he came over here. We've said it before. I'm swinging around, 2 years ago in the summer in a saddle, and he's like, that is so stupid. It's the dumbest thing ever. And then you've got him, you know, swinging from pole to pole, you know, saying, you got to get in one. Look what I can do. Like, I've got all these back problems. I mean, and he's the biggest salesman, proponent, advocate for it from the biggest naysayer. And stop me if I'm lying here, John.
No, I did a complete 180. Once my back was acting up, I'm like, there's no way I'm carrying this freaking, you know, I had the XOP stand and sticks, which they're a great stand, but it's heavy. I mean, I had the big
plus
stand.
Also, though, sitting like that, right, with your back upright against the tree, you get lower back pain. That's not fun for, you know, long time.
No.
But you're exactly right, though. Like you hit the nail on the head. You know, some people fight getting, like, what the heck is that you're sitting in at the show, and once you get them in that, it is hard to get them out, because the light bulb goes. You know the second the light bulb goes off, right? Because they're getting in there, they're kind of standing on it, and then you might be holding on them a little bit, and you tell them to get the weight off, and then all of a sudden they start moving back and forth, and you're like, you know, and they realize you can shoot pretty easily out of these things, right? Mm-hmm. And you see that aha moment.
Well, it's like the guy we just talked to on Sunday. Mm-hmm. 76 years old.
Yeah,
77, and he started saddle hunting when he was 72. So
that's awesome. That is so great.
You know, I mean, come on, anybody can do it.
Oh
yeah. Well, you think about it, you know, if it's, and I tell you know, everybody talk about it. It doesn't matter what brand, you know, it's you know, if used correctly, you're 100%, you know, tied to the tree. Yes, if you are in alignments and you do slip, yes, you're going to swing and bang the tree and get hurt, and, you know, but you're not going to fall 10, 20 feet, right? You're still probably have the ability to grab it. So you will go home that day, you know, where, you know, a lot of guys, tree stand hunters, whatnot, you know, they're climbing and they don't clip in until they get to the top. And most of the time, it's not until they step from their stick to their platform where 90% of the accidents happen, right? And I know I got a few friends that it has happened in the past. Mm-hmm. One had spent months in a hospital in Mississippi, and then had to freight him up here in another month in the hospital because falling out of a tree stand, getting into it. So
yeah, and that was his main reason. I mean, he said that's why he switched, was because, you know, he goes a lot of places where nobody will ever find him, and you know, it's just, once he saw the benefits and the safety aspect of it, he said, you know, that was it for me. So,
man, I hope when I'm 76, I'm still going strong like that hunting.
I hope I'm still walking.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, just even to add to the safety aspect, I mean, you don't even have the ability to risk it. You know, you walk a mile back in with your tree stand, and you forget your harness at the truck. You're tempted maybe to climb that tree. If you walk a mile back in without your saddle, well, you're ground hunting today, man. So there's just no. I know it
I've known people to do that too.
Yeah, well, it definitely helps. You know, I got a young family, so it makes me feel better knowing that, you know, I'm not going to go out and I'm already out here. I got the time only for today. Maybe I'll get up in this tree without my harness. I can't do it. I'm always safe. I know that I can get up the tree, get down the tree, and get home to my family. So.
Well, and I mean, today I was telling Sean, like, so my daughter was out there in a saddle when John came over today, and she was literally just swinging around like a tetherball, and I was thinking, like, she's probably going to get hurt on that bark. But I also realized that I'm like, she's not going to fall anywhere. You know, she's not going. I have to let her down. She's not going anywhere. So I'll know when she's ready to be done. I mean,
funny is I was doing the same thing in my front yard before that, trying out the new Trophyline. So
nice.
I had some strange look by one lady drove by, and she was like looking at me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I think everybody's neighbors have had that.
Well. Yep.
But I mean, not anymore. Just shake their head. They know better enough.
Well, I mean, if you're John's neighbor, I mean, he's mowing the lawn with his pack on, you know, and boots and full camo in the summertime. You know, he's shooting his bow 100 yards from the middle of the road, and now it's getting dusk, and he's swinging around the tree,
strapped to a tree.
Nice.
So you had mentioned like some of the other products, like before we get into the new saddle, like you guys have had, the pack come out, the platform, and then the sticks. Real quick, I want to talk about the pack and then go into like your partnership with Novix and kind of like what's going on there. So that pack is funny story. Probably not funny to you because I got the pack. I did the video. I was all jazzed up on it, and then somebody online was like, "Hey, does anybody have one of these?" And it was a local guy that I can come check out, and he wanted to trade for another like super high end pack. So I was like, "Well, I'll trade you. I'll just get another one." And I'm like, "This pack's supposed to be really great." I got that other pack. I never hunted with it once. I couldn't even pawn it off on John. I brought it to John, and he's like, "This is really, it's a nice pack, but it's not going to work for saddle hunting."
Right.
And then the guy quit saddle hunting. Because he missed a few deer.
Yeah.
And he was like, sold off all of his saddle stuff. And I'm like, well, I mean, if you don't like the pack, we can just trade back. And he's like, no, I love the pack. He's like, it works perfect for filming and everything. So I was like, come on.
Oh man, that's funny.
So
not for you, but
yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things. And so it's like, whatever. But, so I mean, the one thing about that pack that I just absolutely love is that front pocket on the front. Like I've tried a platform. I don't like a full size platform, and I tried the Mission, and it's just not for me. Just I've heard people say that whether it's a ring of steps or a platform or whatever, but whatever you start with is probably what you're going to kind of stick with if that's part of your process. And like for me, it's just not my thing. But that pouch on there for like your extra gear for that stuff that, when you're have your jacket off and you're walking in, and it's just, there's so many smart things on that pack that like, it doesn't matter if you're a saddle hunter at all.
Correct.
It just happens to be that you guys are selling that pack. So do you want to kind of talk a little bit about that?
Yeah,
You did a real good video on
I probably developed, I don't know, maybe 20 packs in my life, and in other parts of my career. And so we started tinkering around with different pieces of packs. We were like, what, we really like this, we really like that. And then before you know it, the pack was starting to get big, like, all right, we need to scale this back. And then we were looking at, what we like, one, personally, I like to be very organized when it comes to my pack, because, especially on 1900 square inch pack, it's simple to just throw all your gack in, and we've all been there, right? You're looking through the bottom of it and trying to find this, and so like, okay, let's make it very organized, right? Pockets for everything, mesh pockets inside, you can see what goes where, and then like, what do we use as saddle hunters, right? We got sticks, we carry our bow, we got to carry a gun, we carry a platform or something, right? Okay, we want all that to fit, plus all your crap. And so just kind of started from there and I'm a pack guru. I got a back room full of packs and, you name it. And from stuff that I built to things I love, and probably a lot of them still have tags on them, I just loved it, so we bought one. So we started bits and pieces of it, and you start going through it, and then you get to that side of it from a hunter perspective. And then it's like, okay, you know what, this consumer here, they like to sell film, right? So I built a pack once before where we have, I took it from the ski world, backpack skiers, love to throw their skis in the sleeves. The bottoms are open. They slide the skis down the sides, and hike up to the high country, take the skis up, ski down. I'm like, you know what? Let's sew the bottom. Let's take that technology, sew the bottom off. You can slide a camera arm down the side. Perfect. We'll put it on both sides, left and right. It's not going to fit every single camera arm, but it's going to fit a decent amount. So that problem solved, right? And then They're like, okay, we got cameras, so let's put a padded camera in there. We all have phones, we all have GPSs, let's put a top pocket that we're going to, easy stuff we're going to need: keys, GPS, phone, headlamp. Let's fleece line those, right? They protect it a little bit. So little things like that. Then we did a drop down pocket where you can carry a lot of packs have those, right? So you can put your bow on there, you can put your gun on there. Then we were like, well, just make the pocket bigger. Yes, it throws a balance off on the pack, but someone might just want to strap the sticks to the back of the pack too. So guess what? We can make that pocket bigger and fit sticks, the bottom of the sticks in it. And so we kind of took all this stuff and made notes and started just kind of the evolution of the sample process and started tweaking. And then I had it probably, I don't know, Nick, what do you say, 90% there? And I made a bunch of samples, pushed them out to a bunch of guys, and through my ambassadors, and so a lot of them came up with good ideas with extra molly on the waist strap and this and that, and it just kind of morphed into what our final product that we came out with. And one thing that I always did in my packs was I would poke a hole in the bottom of it, and I would run a retractable bow hoist out of that. And so we did that. Actually, going into next year, you'll start seeing a lot more of little how-to videos from us. And the backpack's gonna be a great one, because I don't think a lot of people don't know this, but inside the main compartment on the sides, there's 2 mesh pockets. So whether you're left-handed or right-handed, on the bottom of the pack, there's 2 grommets, metal grommets. Guess what? You can put your retractable bow hanger hoist inside that mesh pocket, feed it out the grommet on the bottom of the pack. I'll grab one here in a second. And key is to make sure you don't let it loose, because it suck itself back up into the retractable bow, which I have done. And then you feed it at the bottom. So when you get to the bottom of your tree, you don't even take the pack off. Technically, the way it's set, you can hit your clips here, get the sticks off, and then depending on your platform, you can reach over and grab and pull it out there. So if your bow hoist is sticking out the bottom of your pack, guess what? You just pull it out the bottom, hook it to the bow. As you climb up, pulling your bow up, it's sucking up inside your pack, so kind of tangle free. So just those little features, and we're going to do more of those as we come out with products, new products. You'll see just a lot of things just thought out, and we've all been there. We're sitting in the tree going, man, I wish this did that, or that did this. And what if somebody came up with this? Well, I'm notorious for making one of things, because I might love it, and then we get it and we try it out and we're like, yeah, nobody's going to buy this other than me. We want to use it. And, but out of that, between myself and Nick and a lot of our ambassadors I tap into, we come up with some pretty cool ideas. So
yeah,
we're always trying to improve them too. That's one thing about us. If it hits the market, and I will tell you this, I'm never satisfied when something does hit the market. I get to a point where, okay, we got to go with it. But that said, we're always still tinkering with it, whether it's a saddle or a pack. So we'll always come out with Gen 1, Gen 2, Gen 3 of it. We might not call it that. We just make inline changes and make them better. And that comes from us using it, consumers' feedback, lots of consumer feedback. We take all that all the time. And so yeah, you might see some little tweaks to that pack. Just might be subtle stuff, but in our head, we just want to continue to improve it. That's all.
Okay. Yeah. So like I said, with that, and then you guys, I think the other big thing was the platform and
definitely
the sticks. And
yep.
What I'll say about, so when I got that Mission platform, I had the Predator platform side by side,
yeah,
and then an Predator XL as well. Yep. So I don't Tethered's platform was a certain size, and I think one of the things that you guys at Trophyline do extremely well, and I've I know that I've texted you back and forth, Sean, about this, is like, you got everything that Trophyline does, like for however you want to receive it. They have their pulse on like exactly what is going on, like for the consumer, like what they want. And it's kind of like everything is a step ahead, and it's like calculated. And that mission platform is big, big. But at the time, there wasn't a big platform out there. And, everybody, and I think probably it was kind of what we talked about earlier with people not saddle hunting and moving from a tree stand that's X size. Now, how am I just going to stand on that?
Yep.
Maybe never even having saddle hunted, but saying that's too small, so I want a bigger one. If you just had a bigger one, my shoes are this size, my feet are this size, so the world said we need a bigger platform, and Trophyline said, well, I'll show you a bigger platform in spades. I've got just what you're looking for.
Right.
But side by side, like I don't know if the tethered their Predator is like an older casting or whatever, but like
I don't know. I personally have never seen one up close.
But where's your market research, Sean? Come on.
I'll be honest with you. It's literally, kind of finger on the pulse, just listening to our consumers, following every forum, whether it's good, bad, or indifferent, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we get tons of emails. We get tons of phone calls. Ask Nick. We get a ton of phone calls.
We're talking all day long.
And when I say phone calls, I'm talking like we utilize an app. It rings on my phone. It rings on his phone. It rings on a couple others. It's not going to, someone, that's just sitting there from a customer service standpoint answering phone. It's all of us. It's kind of first serve, first come.
But side by side,
that
like the mission platform is like a thing of beauty. Like the casting, like coming from Novix and what they've done and like what they specialize in. I mean, the thing is incredible as far as like the quality and like how it's built. Like it. I mean, it's very impressive.
So like our biggest thing is, and it goes anything from the day we launched the Ambush Light. Everything we build is pretty much overbuilt, right? I don't, it's it might not be the best item on the market, but when you pick up one of our products, you realize it's pretty heavy duty. Again, that goes back to our saddles or our platforms or our sticks or whatever, all the way to the backpack. So that said, like when we sat down, so we started the process probably right around the first time we first talked. Back then, it was probably right around November timeframe, and good friend of mine owns Lone Wolf, Jeff Weaver over there. Known him for a long time, and so I called him. I started picking his brain, and just said, "This is what I want to do." So I worked with his designers. I had something in my head that said, and what I was doing was, it's what you talked about, was the amount of tree stand hunters coming to the saddle world going, what, most of them coming aren't going to be minimalist guys. They just want to cut weight, right? They want something sturdy. And I was like, let's just build a bigger platform that's not on the market right now. And I said, that said, how do saddle hunters, utilize their platform? It's the outer edge, right? And you're not really standing up. You can at times, you really can't do it on the smaller ones. To some degree you can, but you're too close. But let's design the best outer edge there is, right? So let's come up with some unique shapes, and no matter whatever shot angle you have or around the tree, you always are going to have foot leverage, no matter what, right? So that's how we ended up with that shape. So it doesn't matter if you're hanging off the back, if you're right-handed, you're hanging way off the left side of it, trying to shoot around the back of the tree, you got foot leverage, whether it's in one of those cutouts or the top step. And then, or if it's on the far right, you know, and yeah, you're utilizing the tree to block, you know, the way they come. So we just figured, let's utilize the total square inch of that entire platform. So let's just not make it square cookie cutter design. And because realistically, you know, that's not a great shape for a saddle hunter, right? You know, especially a lot of the angles that you get. So let's make it unique and be able to utilize, you know, 100% of the platform. And that being said, then let's just make it big, you know? And so if you got a weak side shot, guess what? You can stand up on it and shoot it, you know, very similar to a tree stand. And then, you know, by doing that, you know, working with the designers, you know, Jeff then let me use our offset bracket, you know, and once we dialed in the right shape of the V on the platform itself, on the bottom casting part, and he also let me use the Versa strapping button, which I was very thankful for. I mean, once you cinch that tight and push on that top step, I don't care how big you are, you can stand on the far edge, you know, put all your weight on it. It's not budging, you know, well, if you hang it right. And all our testing we put it through, you know, blew the numbers way. That we had numbers set in our head, you know, even working with the casting guys where we thought where we would finally break one, we passed it by a few hundred pounds, you know. So we're really happy from that standpoint.
And then the sticks, I mean,
yeah,
I haven't had the sticks. Is it similar or just kind of like a repop of the older Lone Wolf?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'll be honest with you, we weren't. The sticks were kind of an afterthought from our standpoint. You know, I knew he was launching Novix, so I said, you know what, let's, if you don't mind, let me add those to, you know, our website and bring those out, you know, especially being mini sticks. So it's kind of a no-brainer. So we were able to create some cool packages from our website standpoint. And so yeah, nothing special about them. They're a great step. I mean, it's great sticks. They've proven themselves for over a decade, you know, and they're just smaller, you know, more compact, lighter weight. And, you know, again, they're proven design. So it was kind of a no-brainer for us to add it to the mix. And be honest with you, it just saved us time from having to redevelop something, you know. And be honest with you, this probably wasn't the year to develop a new stick for as many that came out on the market.
Yeah,
I think I last counted was 15 or 16 in counting, you know, new sticks that came out this year. So it's crazy. It's good, you know. The consumer's making out. There's a lot to pick from.
For sure. Nick's over there going, yeah, thanks for adding the sticks to the packages. I'll get right on those.
You know, I love those things.
Yeah.
You know, I played with old Lone Wolves years ago. I don't know why I never chopped one in half, but I'm glad that we've got that to the lineup because I really like them. They pack great. You know, for me, with a saddle, I don't need to get up as high. So having those 4 sticks with 15-inch spacing, like I can get to where I need to get to, which is that setup, and it's just packed so darn well on that case pack and fits all in that profile, and I'm good to go.
Yeah, it's funny, you know. I've been in like, you know, arguments with people about like, well, with 4 little sticks, you can't get as high. They don't. It's like the space in between is what's more important than the length of the stick.
Yep.
Like John uses Wild Edge. They don't have it. They're only this
right.
And you get just as high as anybody else.
Yep.
Great point.
Yep. Very great point.
Yeah.
So,
you know,
especially saddle hunting, right? It's so specialized. Everybody, you know, tweaks everything. So, you know, throw some aiders on there if you want. Don't throw some aiders on there. Whatever. I use a single aider on the bottom one just because it's simple. But everybody has their own. Now the kind of big kick is single sticks, right? So
yeah,
I'll never say never, but I probably won't do that. It seems too much work for me.
I've watched guys do it, and I mean, if you've ever, however long you've used sticks, I mean, maybe you're fortunate, but I mean, I've had sticks kick out like that. It's funny you talk about that like retractable thing. Like, I don't know how or why, but bow ropes are the bane of my existence. And I was using daisy chains this year.
Yeah.
I was using like the Versa straps last year, and then I had enough sticks kick out from my bow rope. Like, so when I'm hoisting my bow up, like
Really,
when I'm climbing up, because I just probably my fault, but I just unravel the rope and throw it. So then when I'm climbing up, it's getting weaved in the sticks, and then my bow's like, then I'm doing this, and then I pull it up off of the daisy chain, and so like I'm up at height, and I'm thinking like, well, when I go down, you know, I'm gonna have to figure something out. So I've done my share of like one stick training, if you want to call it that, where I'm tethered off, swinging around trying to set a stick, and you know, that's not the ideal way to do it, but that doesn't really seem like it's going to be like my thing.
I've done the same thing with those Wild Edge. And those things pop up. Now you only have, now you're missing one.
And you probably stretch to get to the next one, so now you're really stretching or hanging or whatever, right?
Get the tether out.
Absolutely. Adam, sounds like you need to go to a pet store and get a retractable dog leash. You know?
I mean, it's just been like the most frustrating. Like, I hate bow ropes, and like even when I do like the nice, like, oh, you know, Taylor, he says, and John uses it, you know, he just weave it around like this. No, I know it still gets a knot, and then when it stops, and then I mean, John he's got a pretty short temper when it comes to like when things go wrong, and I try my best to be like, oh, calm and cool, but when it comes to bow ropes, like I just go full John Boersma freaking.
And pull the bow rope.
and that's it, you know. But yeah, like, so I don't think that the one sticking is going to be for me. And like, there's so many guys that want to talk about like the SRT and all of that, and I think about, you know, even climbing with sticks, and it doesn't matter if they're full length sticks or short sticks or whatever, you know, when you're looking at a tree, you're looking at, okay, how many times do I gotta do double lineman ropes up past all of these branches and all of that stuff. And I mean, that plays into, you know, if you want to get into the right tree, you can get into the right tree. But then I think about trying to do, like, to try and throw something up there to get a rope, to get another rope, or to try one stick. I mean, you'd be better off using like a hand climber or something on that same tree. You know, but everybody, like you said, it is so specialized.
It's so special. Yeah, everybody, you know,
and from that, like, we can go right into the saddle, because you know, that specialized thing is going to come into play when you're talking about saddles. Everybody, each of these saddles, and like I said, we've tried a lot of them, and they fit everybody differently. And so everybody's going to. And the number one question on the forums anywhere is like, I'm going to get this saddle or this saddle, like, or what's the best saddle? And it's like
it's every day on the forums, right?
And I feel like the real answer to that question, and I've said it from the first time I sat in more than one saddle, was just if there's not somebody around that has more than one saddle for you to sit in, get any saddle. Because you're going to find things that you don't like. That's why there's so many saddles out right now, is because everybody's going to say, I don't like this, or I don't like this, or that it fits me this way. But you can't go off of what Joe Blow in you know, Kentucky or Georgia says, because he's not wearing the same clothes or doing the same things that I'm doing up here in Michigan or in PA.
It's an item you wrap around your core, right? Everybody's built different. So I don't care whose it is. Every single one is going to fit different, exactly like you said. And I tell that people all the time, you know, and you know, the common theme is, you know, you ask 10 saddle hunters, you know, a question, you're going to get 20 opinions, right? So it's, and me, I'm in that boat, you know, and so there isn't a bad, you know, saddle on the market. There just isn't. You know,
I don't know about that. Like I said, there's one out there I haven't seen, but
you know, but you know, they just all fit differently, and some have less adjustments than others, and so you might not be able to tweak it to make it fit you. Guess what? Right now you could probably turn and make the same amount what you just sort of what you just bought it for, and go try another one. So it's probably a good segment into the our new saddle. I think we talked about this one last time a year ago. We when we started to rebrand Trophyline and start sourcing all the fabrics and things like that to build it, we went down the path of the covert. That's exactly where we were going, and in about 30 days into it, I basically called a timeout and we pumped the brakes, and I was like, we really need to come out with what the true DNA of Trophyline was. But that patented design, the ambush. And so we went back kind of to the drawing board and came out with the ambush light. Basically we eliminated the strap that went around the tree from the old Trophyline, went to the rock climbing rope and carabiners, and made it lighter, made it fit a little better, not as sloppy as it used to be, full knowing that it wasn't going to be the best or the most premium on the market. It was all about, this is Trophyline's DNA. This is what people used to know it as, for those 10 years that they existed. And we needed to do that, from the consumers that used to know Trophyline, or people that maybe heard about it, or, all the videos that were done in the past in old Trophlines, that resonated with people. And so we, and also to take that in consideration, we also knew that by doing that, we were going to be able to bring a really great perceived value saddle to the market, in the ambush light, and then evolution of the pro in camo and windproof. So we always knew that, we were coming out with that, and then we were going to evolve into what is the covert today. It changed in that time frame, but in that time frame, also a bunch of other saddle companies launched in the meantime. And so when you do come out with something new, you're like, it looks like that. It looks like this. And guess what? It's a saddle that's under $250. Lay them all out outside of a single panel or a two panel. There's something that you could say they all look very similar, right? Especially when it comes to adjustable waist buckle, adjustable leg straps, and adjustable bridge. But one thing we wanted to do differently was, what we had kind of into the ambush series was, we were a little bit taller than most on the saddles, a little deeper. So we wanted to take that portion of it and bring it into more adjustability, right? And we don't want to be minimalist. I feel, and there's nothing wrong with that. Guys, we see all the time, right? Trimming ounces. So whether it's cutting more sticks down or whatever. And so, but I feel even if ours might be slightly heavier, there's more to it. You've had it in your hands now. It's no different than you pick up the ambush. You kind of know you have a Trophyline tree saddle in your hands. I always say we're hanging people from the side of the tree, so we like to overbuild everything. And, so this one was no different. It's a little taller, so it works great with lower back. Guys that have lower back issues. It has great lower back support there, John. And it's longer, so it's nice. It cups you more. And there are some thigh adjustability there to pull it up under if you need to, but I don't know too many people that are utilizing those because it is longer and it's already cupping you from that aspect. So that was kind of how the covert came about, coming out of the ambush side of it. It was in our minds and on our sketchboard before even the ambush light even around. So,
okay. So what are, I mean, I have my thoughts on, looking at it and whatever, but what are the main features, that have changed from the ambush series?
yeah. So right off the bat, the first thing you probably recognize, obviously, doesn't have a web, nylon web bridge. Ambush was, non-adjustable nylon bridge. Well, some people will say adjustable because you had the 2 clip-ins and guys clipping into one, but realistically it was non-adjustable. And now you go to rope bridge, right? And fully adjustable. I think we're at 33 inches long with a Prusik. And yes, we connect it with a carabiner instead of, tying it right to the loop. We did that on purpose. I look at it as, I want to give you as many options as possible. So guess what? If you don't like to use that carabiner, take the carabiner off, right? And attach it. That's I don't use the carabiner. I eliminate that weight. And but when we're selling kind of to the masses, right, we like to give options. Again, back to that piece of trying to make something fit most people. And that's why we had 2 sizes. We try to go down the route of one size fits most. You're wrapping something around your core like that, it's really hard to do, and you make a lot of the guys in the middle really happy, and then the guys on each end of that spectrum not so happy, because it's either going to be too big or too small. Then obviously the waist buckle, right? Fully adjustable waist buckle, which we got. And so before we just had the simple one pull from one side, kind of pressure buckle. And then same thing on the leg straps, on the ambush series, you had to step into, and now the adjustable legs. And again, it was, taking feedback from our consumer, going, hey, love this, but if you had adjustable waist buckle, it would be this much better. Other guys like, man, I just wish it fit tighter. So, okay, let's give them weight, leg buckles. And then obviously we went to the rope bridge, for more adjustability, standpoint. And the one thing too with, we use the same webbing that we did on the ambush. So at first they are stiff and everything's brand new. So it's super stiff. I will tell you, I got, probably 110 hour plus into the covert, maybe a little more than that. Nick's probably the same way. Plus we got a bunch of other guys. Beauty of it is we made them so they'll loosen up and everything will be able to move freely. Like a lot of times, especially when you're dealing with like nylon webbing, if you already have it loose when you first get it, it's going to break in. And take a waist strap, for example. If it's already really simple to adjust, the more you wear that, it's going to wear in, right? So the last thing we wanted to do, which guys were complaining about on the ambush series, is I'm walking to my tree and it's coming loose and it's jingling, right? We're like, okay, let's make the nylon stiff, at first, a little harder to adjust. But that said, you make all your adjustments, the first time you get it, and all you got to do is clip in, clip out real quick. And, if you got heavier clothing, no problem. You make your adjustments from that aspect. But as you wear it, it'll become a lot softer and easy to make those adjustments.
Yeah, we noticed that on those thigh adjustments. Those are tight. That is some tight webbing right there.
Yeah.
And then
also on the big buckle too.
Yeah, the big buckle is definitely really stiff. Especially when you're talking about the angles when you go through your right side, your piece there. The easiest way is, kind of suck in and push from the backside and then pull it. And again, we did it on purpose. We know we're going to go guys that go, man, this is too stiff to make adjustments, but I promise you it does wear in and it gets softer and it's easier to do it. We just rather you wear it in and it get to the point where it's real smooth and then come loose. And then all it does is you wear it in, it gets looser. That doesn't do anybody good.
Yeah.
Okay. Two things on it. One, I think, is a really big thing that you kind of overlooked, and I saw it like as soon as we got it, and I sat in it, and I was like, man, I don't know. John came over today, and he's like, this thing right here, I think is so in the center, you've got an additional piece of webbing there. Can you talk a little bit about why you did that and the feedback, because it seems to make it like, I don't know, how did you explain it, John?
It's like disperse the weight across your ass a little better. So
yeah, we took what we had currently and we kind of looked at what else was on the market, and knowing that we wanted to go taller, you take taller and don't put some type of support in the middle, especially mesh, right?
Pull through.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's you kind of feel, all of a sudden you have webbing and, eventually that mesh just wears and you're kind of like inside it, type thing. And so working with our manufacturers, like, let's just put a piece across the middle, right? And let's try it. Let's just figure out the right height. Let's split the middle first and kind of move it higher or lower from that aspect. And when we started trying out, exactly what you said, it was like, it really dispersed the weight, left, right, top to bottom, from that aspect. And our manufacturer did a really good job on it. And I'm a 34 waist, a medium large. Nick's 46. I'm kidding. And what, 38 waist, right?
36 to 38. Depends on
it's winter. You're 38.
Yeah,
it's the middle of winter.
It's the pandemic. Yeah, it's the pandemic.
And I mean, he was wearing a medium large for most of the testing side of it, and that was my biggest concern from, and I tried it on smaller people too, was making sure that middle piece was going to hit everybody, in the right spot, or give or take, an inch or two. And so it is a little wider, but doing that, it hit where we needed to, from a support standpoint. Yeah. Like Adam, like you said, you cinched that down to your
my 5-year-old
there. And my daughter, she was just here a second ago. She's a size 2. She's 16 and a size 2, and I can cinch down a medium large and fit her perfect, but it went all the way up to, Nick, that's almost a 38 on that medium. And so we have it on there, 28 to 37 on the medium large, and large, extra large is a 38 to 44. I think we have it listed. It will go higher than that, and which was a bigger issue on our ambush series, because we only had so much space on the belt. So actually, I'm glad I said that. So one of the feedbacks on the ambush was, do you have a belt extension? So, and it was like, get me thinking, let's just put extra belt, on the left and right side of the covert series when we do it. And because the best thing about, nylon webbing, you can cut it and heat melt it, right, to whatever degree you want. So yes, there's extra webbing on there. And so I had a couple guys going, what do you do with all this? And we do have some plastic clips on there to hold it. But I was like, you know what, leave yourself, 8-10 inches, or put it on with all your heavy clothing on, and then make your adjustments and, cut that webbing and, heat melt it down, and you're good to go, but some guys are still, wearing it and keeping the extra length. for or whatever. But that was kind of the big gist behind why we did that.
Yeah, and the other thing that I noticed, and like, you talked about not using the carabiner, and I'll get into like my thoughts on the bridge and kind of how everything lays out. But it was the lineman's loop, so like a stark contrast from your previous lineman loops.
Yeah.
Just because like before there were no bridge loops because the bridge was integrated into the saddle. So looking at them, they're like they seemed like really small. So it's like for me not wanting to use carabiners, and John, I mean, I got this from John. John's like, I'm not using 2 carabiners on my linemen's. I'm going to girth hitch it.
Right.
And so I was looking at that going, those are kind of small. Those are kind of, built for that. And, we've talked about it with your true lineman's belt. You can't girth hitch that one. You got a real small eye.
Yeah, shown eyes. You can't do it. Right.
Yep. And so using, so I took my lineman's and put it on there. And I'm like, okay, yeah, this isn't so bad and where it lines up. But like, did you guys look at any of the it's been like, so there's another new saddle that came out. That's got a lot of like hardcore from that company hating on it. And I've got no experience with that. And I've never sat in one of those saddles at all. But there's some guys that have helped that company that say, hey, I don't like the saddle for these reasons. And one of them was the geometry of the placement of their lineman's loop. So how much thought process goes into that from your end? Or is it just like, these are on there and they're to be safe?
I mean, there's thought process into it, it's easy to overthink a lot of things, it doesn't matter what it is, and, I think it was one of those things, like we just got to like, hey, I think this is a good size, and we looked at different ways that, sewing them differently, maybe not necessarily connect them at the same point where they do. So, maybe it is more out in front of you to clip. But, you look at, from our ambush series, they were kind of way out in front of you. And so these are definitely on your sides a little more. And again, I don't know, we could have made them really big and someone's like, man, those are really big, so I don't know exactly what the perfect size is. I just think we got to a point like, hey, they look good. They kind of feel good. Like where you're standing there, you're standing in alignment, like they're right here. It's not like you're reaching back here. Even if you got heavy clothes on, they're right here on your hips. It doesn't matter if it's the medium large or the large, extra large. Now thinking about it from your standpoint, like, hey, if I want to girth hitch this, but outside of my rope, if you had a different type of rope and you even had a figure 8, you could still girth hitch it. I think there's enough loop there to do it.
Yeah, there is. I did it with a bunch of different ropes.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So, us personally, we didn't put a ton of thought into, more design on the lineman loops and than the rest of the saddle itself. I kind of look at, I'd rather spend more of my time developing a really comfortable saddle that you can sit from dart to dart in and make, user friendly, lineman loops, and I think they are. I think they're fine, personally. It's something definitely probably take a look at, probably, put more of under a microscope when we come out with our next saddle, to kind of think differently aspect. But that said, too, when, again, we wanted this saddle to come out and hit a certain price point, right? And we did that. And again, you take all the saddles in the market that are under, again, 250, 280, whatever. If there's bits and pieces, each item looks like this and looks like that. And it's really not going to be until you start stretching that price point, that threshold, to where you can start visualizing totally different ways of thinking on a saddle itself, right? And but I don't think you'll see that too far down the road either.
Okay. Well, like I said, I just wanted to know, because that was one thing that, like I said, was a stark deviation just because for out of necessity. So I just didn't know, like, after all of the, like I said, I watched a video and it was just like, this is, well, man, I never really, but I know that there's been some changes and across the board as people are making new saddles, they're changing the alignments loose. But like with that bridge, when I first got it, and it makes a whole lot of sense listening to you now say, you're just trying to kind of not alienate anybody. And so you say, well, if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do that. When it has the carabiner on there, I was like, man, I hate all the metal stuff. Like, and when you've got, carabiner here, and then you've got your leg loop straps. Those are really nice that they're quick, those buckles, but man, you got two pieces of metal there. And it's like, that's what's going to happen to me, is that those are going to hit. So like, man, but talking to some of the old school, like the Aero Hunter Evolution guys, that was carabiners everywhere. They're like, it's nice to be able to not have to step into the saddle. And I never really took that into consideration because, we're new to the game here, and they've all had fixed bridges that you had to step in like a pair of pants. So, that's something that I never really took into consideration. But I think one of the issues, like with the ambush, it took me longer to get comfortable in it from that saddle shape, or like from the wearing of the saddle type thing, because the bridge wasn't adjustable and you only had so much, depending on the tree. And like for me, not having a true platform and just using one on the top of the stick, I was very close to the tree. So now wherever my tether height was and my bridge length is fixed long.
Right.
And what you said, being like kind of like falling down into the saddle, it was great for sitting. For leaning, it slid up around me and I was in a saddle cocoon kind of.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah.
And so that's the first thing that I noticed about wearing this one. And I noticed that extra piece of webbing, but I think you're exactly right. Is like, it kind of holds it right in place, whether you're sitting or leaning. And this thing is, as far as like from the ambush to the covert, it's a like night and day difference 100%. in the feel of it. Now, with that being said, and this is the material wise in whatever it is, the light line, is there going to be a pro line coming out with this one, or is it a necessity?
Question. It's a great question. I don't think you'll see an evolution like we did Ambush Light and Ambush Pro, or from that aspect. I think you'll see more of from an accessory standpoint. So things you can build onto the Ambush Light from that aspect. So it's we've looked. I got samples here, of in camo and things like that, and it's the challenges these days too, right? Is all of a sudden you start talking about camo and what camo are you going to do, right? Mm-hmm. So, and trust me, I got surveys after surveys on camouflage, and you still have two leaders in the market, but it's fragmented anymore, right? QU, Sitka, First Light, you throw those patterns in the mix, and you'll never make anybody happy just with one camo pattern. And then all of a sudden now you're trying to carry extra SKUs, and you start talking about two sides. You start getting headaches. And so you might see we're looking at a couple other different things from more from an accessory standpoint. And again, guys love accessorize their saddles, right? I'm one of them. You'll see a lot more things like that coming down the pike, for from a saddle perspective. So.
Okay. And so I'm just looking at John there. He looks like he's ready to fall asleep. He's got to drive, 7.5 hours.
I will share one new item with you that this is like total deviation, right turn from you, but not necessarily. We got a handful of new items coming out this year. But one thing that we've been testing out with, and just more from we've all seen them. We've all had. We might even have even like an old Primo's bow sling or something like that. We actually have a pretty cool, well thought out bow sling design, and I'll send you guys one. John, I think you'll like this. So, neoprene design, good cup, on the end for your cams. You got a quick buckle to sort around. But what we did too was we actually added a couple little pockets in there. So one of those things, hey, never forget your release type thing, and or wind check or whatever. So if you want it, we got a pocket on each side from that standpoint of it. And then, it's all neoprene design, so it's fully stretchable. But what we do on the back side is we have a little micro adjust. So if you want to shoot a small gearhead, guess what? It fits the small gearhead. And if you want to shoot one of those real long bows, that are 30 inches or 32 inches, guess what? It fits that. And cool strap on there. So I just happened to, a good friend of mine was a manufacturer for the Primo's bow sling. So we started messing around with this earlier in the year, and I've been testing it out all year. Nick has been too, and we're happy with it. Beauty too, like a lot of guys don't know in Illinois, you guys might know, is like, when you go from your, from the time you leave your truck, or your house to wherever you're going hunting, you got to have that in a case, right? And far as I remember, all the times I've hunted in Illinois, as long as you had something that covered the strings and cables, I think something like a bow sling actually passed as a bow case from that standpoint, because it covers the strings and cables and some goofy rules. But we're happy with this. It turned out really well. It's again, kind of some cool branding. We messed around with some camo on it, but the black and red turned out way better from what we thought. And I think one of the other quick things you touched base was saddle outerwear. My past, I was actually a hunting apparel buyer for many, many years. So I've built a few hunting apparel things in my past, and I actually have a storage unit down the street that's filled with hunting apparel. But I've gone down that path. We talked about it. It's one of those things, is the market big enough yet? Right. If we're still talking about, there's not a ton. Again, we all kind of live in this vacuum, so we're always on these forums, so it always seems like there's a ton of people saddle hunting, but they're really not, when it comes to the amount of hunters in it. That said, we're always looking at things. I mean, I don't know if you saw the new sweatshirt, actually the sweatshirt we got on, we brought in the market the other day. You got the normal kangaroo pocket that we have on there, but guess what? You got the little high pocket. So when you are in a saddle, and it has a little pocket inside, you can actually put a little hand warmer in there. So we have these on our website now. So yeah, we definitely think about those things, but full-fledged outerwear line, it's, again, a lot of time, a lot of money, in that type of development. And there's a lot of good camo companies on the market now, hunting apparel companies. And, but it doesn't mean that we won't look at pieces like this and some other things that are saddle friendly, right? Because we've all been in those situations, and especially in this late season, I'm sure, John, you're hanging from it in the next couple of days, and you're like, I can't put my hands in my pockets,
Right. About ready to bring
it gets frustrating at times, right?
Oh yeah, I was about ready to bring my parka to the seamstress and have her
right.
cut it up the side and sew some double zippers so I can zip around my bridge.
Right.
So otherwise it's all bunched up,
Yeah, all bunched up, or you're doing hand warmers or something,
So I got my hand warmers, I got my
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's some guy on the market too. I've seen him a couple of times. It's kind of saddle friendly hunting apparel stuff. Yep. I haven't really dived into it. Maybe you guys have.
Michigan guy. Yep.
Yeah, I haven't really looked at his stuff yet either, but yeah, it's going to take something like that to really kind of get behind. And again, you kind of look at that tip of the spear customer, right? And how it especially when you start getting into hunting apparel and all the different sizes, it takes a lot of time, a lot of money, to do it. So you definitely gonna have to be dedicated. We have our challenges carrying 2 sizes, on saddles, and so you start carrying 4 and 6 sizes. It's time. But like I said, we'll look at pieces like we did here, and
yeah, that sweatshirt's sweet. I mean,
yeah, I had one in my cart like twice now, and then I didn't realize that it didn't have the.
Yeah, we haven't called it out on. We call it out on there, but I don't think people realize, like, when you say chest pockets, they're like, yeah, it's actually up here. And actually, we actually have a water resistant coating on it, and so it you can shed water. It can't be in rain, heavy rain, but mist and stuff like that, it works out well. And we did it in a quarter zip, so it makes your hoodie easier to get in and out of. So yeah, we're happy the way it turned out. We sold a bunch of it. I think we launched it on Friday. And well, you throw Bottomland on it, which is my favorite. Seems to be everybody's favorite because that's what everybody's throwing it on right now anymore.
For sure. Now, just real quick before we let you go, we talked to you before, and I know we talked to you at the ATA show last year in person, and all the stuff about like TMA. Like, where is TMA with saddles at this point?
Yeah, we do. We've been doing a monthly call since the ATA show last year, and it's anywhere from myself, a few guys from Tether, guys from Attitude, Heath is on there, Matt Garris. So a lot of guys from the industry is on this committee. It's just time consuming. It's going through the process of first couple times was literally vocabulary, right? Spelling out everything. What's a prusik? What's a tether? A lot of the things that, again, we're too close to it going, oh yeah, you got to remember, we're going to create safety criteria that are, general, across the board. And we're gotten down into, ways to test saddles out, because the way you test a saddle out is definitely different than the way you test a safety harness, right? It's all totally different. They're doing drop tests and things like that, and we're working with Rick Chomick is the chair of this committee. He works for Stress Engineering, which is one of the 2 testing facilities for TMA. They do all the testing on safety harnesses and tree stands, and actually, one of the guys from Tech Services, which is the other TMA testing facilities, that guy's on the committee also. So everybody's literally working in unison to come up with the most universal testing requirements for saddles and also platforms. Again, so we're probably 11 months into it, 10 months into it. It's gonna be a 2-year process. Once we go through and we feel good about it, and then we have to present that to the ASTM, I think it is, and then go through the whole process of taking them through it and get their approval. It's not a quick process. It's not an easy process. It's just time consuming, crossing T's and dotting I's. And we're doing a call just like this Zoom call. We're all on it, and we, meeting notes on it, and we got follow-ups, anything all the way from, the testing we did it to, what user manual, what should be in the user manuals, and from crossing T's and dotting I's in it to don't do this, don't do that, so, and but no, it's been good. It's been well attended every single month, and it's just going to take time, and we'll get there though. It's nice. It's good to see, especially as fast as this thing is growing. It is definitely needed.
Well, and that's one of the things, and like I said, it is just one of those things where it didn't exist because it kind of, it should exist, but the tests aren't the same. And so, and then you see, I think what people also don't understand is they think that with everything that you see on the saddle forums or on Facebook or whatever, everybody's going back and forth at each other. Well, those aren't the real guys that are involved in the company. Like, all these guys in the company really just want to see saddle hunting. They all understand, like, that there's a market, that there's room for everybody in the market, that they're all putting out the best, safest product that they are.
Right.
And when you do hear someone say something that is from a company, if it were bad or anything of that nature, the only thing would be is that you might want to see what they're doing as far as safety, because I think that when the first basement sewing saddle company guy has a catastrophic accident, the news does not say that it was just, that's how dangerous saddle hunting is,
Right.
So
yeah, absolutely, 100%. And and I think that's why this committee was formed, right? You start seeing a lot more popping up, and so it's like, okay, we, same way TMA, was before TMA, it was the saddles and tree stand market was started growing quickly. And it was like, okay, we need to create some standard here. Right. So 300-pound weight capacity needs to go through this type of test. You need to be able to double the weight that the weight capacity is. And, safety harnesses need, you got a 300-pound weight drop and X amount of times. And so that's the process we're going through. So everybody's going to be held to the same criteria. It's just overdue, so, and everybody that's on that committee is doing the testing already. We might not be doing the exact same one, but there's a rendition of that, us, you can ask Nick, he comes from, we go and test. We'll test everything as a unit, and which you need to. So anything from, tree tether to Prusik to carabiner to bridge down to, as one single unit from a weight perspective. But then we go the extra length, and I want to know, where's the thread break? Where's the nylon webbing on our straps break? Where's our buckle break? So we break everything out individually, and because it's just good to know, and so if anybody asks you, you can tell them. And so again, we hang people from the side of the tree. So, we want to make sure that we're putting the best product that possible, the safest product that possible. And I think we do, and we stand behind that. So, yeah. And that's why everybody is on that committee, that's why, that's how you can have, at the end of the day, we're all competitors, but we all want the same thing,
Mm-hmm.
Make sure everybody's coming out with a safe product.
Yeah. I just think we'd have been remiss if we didn't touch on, like, the safety aspect of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because 100%. It doesn't exist.
You touched it. And to kind of add to that, though, you said it perfectly. I don't. You get some chatter from the forums, but it's never from people from each of those manufacturers. I text with Greg. I talk to Matt Karras all the time, and I talk to Matthew at TX5. We all know each other, we're all out trying to do the same thing, and we all know that, if we all pull together and continue to, celebrate the saddle hunter and promote saddle hunting, everybody makes out. We make out, the consumer makes out, because, you got competitors like us, always want to make something better, and it just drives innovation. And again, at the end of the day, the consumer makes out, because it's, look, but from last year to when we talked to now, I mean, how many different saddle companies popped up in that past year, and different renditions of each other, and some people totally thinking outside the box, which is awesome. I think it's great. So who knows where we are from a year from now? Might be 50 companies, but
well, that's what John and I wanted to talk to you about. We're starting this new thing.
Hey, watch what you wish for. I always tell people. Insurance, I'll tell you, insurance. It'll be your biggest expense.
So, I mean, that's pretty much all I had on my list and everything. Was there anything else that you wanted to talk about, or?
No, I thought this was a great segment from where we first talked, and was just Sherry and I, and relaunching the brand itself. And now that we have 15 months under our belt, I feel like it's 10 years. But now we're just excited. We appreciate being on with you guys and talking openly. And I mean, we're pretty transparent guys, and we might hide a few new things behind the curtain, but other than that, I'll talk hunting all day long and special saddle hunting, and we just appreciate the forum you guys have here to do so. And we're just excited for 2021, man. It's they'll be here in a couple weeks, and gas pedal down.
So Nick, nobody listens to the show. It's just you and us. I'll mute Sean here real quick. What do you got in the warehouse that he didn't tell us about for 2021?
Nick's still under probation still. I always threaten that with him.
Yeah, we'll go with that. I can't answer him under probation.
All right. Well, I really appreciate it. John's itching to get on the road here.
Yeah, absolutely.
He already left us once. So
I don't know what happened. My internet just
yeah, it's my internet.
But as far as the podcast, I think that's all we got for tonight. So thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
see it.